I pushed open the heavy oak door of what I thought was the church basement, my arms full of sheet music and my mind replaying the hymn I'd been practicing all week. Instead of the familiar smell of old hymnals and coffee, I walked into pure testosterone and cigar smoke. 12 men in expensive suits turned to stare at me. And at the head of the table, with eyes like winter itself, sat him. "I'm so sorry," I stammered, already backing toward the door. "I thought this was, the choir meets in the basement, and I..." "Stop." His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through my panic like a blade. "Close the door." My heart hammered. Everything about this room screamed danger, from the stacks of cash on the table to the tension in every man's shoulders. But something in his tone made me obey. I let the door click shut behind me. "What's your name?" he asked, leaning back in his chair with an expression I couldn't read. "Lily. Lily Morrison. I sing in the church choir upstairs. We practice on Thursdays, and I got the rooms confused." One of the men snorted. "Boss, should I?" The man at the head of the table raised one hand, and the room fell silent. His eyes never left mine. "You sing." It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. "Then sing something. Now." "What?" "Here." My voice came out as a squeak. "I don't think." "You walked into my private meeting, Miss Morrison. The least you can do is prove you're who you say you are." There was something almost amused in his expression now, though his face remained stone cold. "Unless you'd prefer I call the police and report a trespasser?" I knew he wouldn't call the police. Men like him didn't involve the police. But the alternative, whatever that was, seemed worse. So I sang. I closed my eyes and let the first notes of Ave Maria pour out of me. It was the piece I'd been practicing, the one Father Michael said I'd solo at Sunday service. My voice filled that smoky room, turning it into something holy despite the unholy business being conducted there. When I finished, the silence was deafening. I opened my eyes to find every man staring at me, but I only saw him. His expression had changed, softened, somehow. Like I'd cracked something open in him. "Go," he said quietly. "Basement's 1 floor down. East staircase." I clutched my sheet music and practically ran from the room. But as I reached the door, I heard him speak again. "Marcus, find out everything about her." I told myself to forget about it. To pretend it never happened. That lasted exactly 3 days. On Sunday morning, I stood in my white choir robe preparing for the solo that would open the service. The church was packed, it always was for Father Michael's sermons. I scanned the pews out of habit and nearly dropped my hymnal. He was sitting in the back row. Those winter eyes found mine across the crowded church, and something electric passed between us. He was alone, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my yearly salary from the music school where I taught piano to children. He didn't belong here any more than I'd belonged in that room on Thursday. But he'd come anyway. I sang my solo with my heart trying to escape my chest. Every note felt like it was just for him, which was ridiculous because I was praising God, not some criminal I'd stumbled upon. But I couldn't help it. His gaze held me captive. After the service, I lingered by the piano, pretending to organize music while families filed out. I knew he'd come to me. Somehow, I just knew. "You have a gift." His voice came from behind me, deep and smooth. I turned to face him, my fingers clutching my hymnal like a shield. "Thank you. You didn't have to come here just to tell me that." "No," he agreed, stepping closer. "I came because I couldn't stay away." My breath caught. Up close, he was even more devastating, sharp jawline, dark hair with threads of silver at the temples, and those eyes that seemed to see straight through me. "I don't even know your name," I whispered. "Dante. Dante Morelli." He extended his hand, and I shook it. His grip was warm, firm, grounding. "I need to explain about Thursday." "You don't owe me any explanations." I pulled my hand back, already missing the contact. I walked into the wrong room. "That's on me." "Lily." The way he said my name made my stomach flip. "You walked into my world, and now I can't stop thinking about you. Your voice, it's been in my head for 3 days straight. I haven't slept. I haven't been able to focus. Do you understand what that means? That you enjoyed my singing? I tried to keep my tone light, but my heart was racing. It means you're a problem. He took another step closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker. I don't believe in anything, Lily. Not God, not goodness, not redemption. My world is dark, and I've made peace with that. But then you opened your mouth and sang, and for 3 minutes and 47 seconds, I believed in something. I should have run. Should have called for Father Michael. Should have done anything except stare up at this dangerous man with my heart in my throat. I'm not a solution to your crisis of faith, I said softly. No, he agreed. You're so much worse than that. You're hope, and hope is the most dangerous thing in my world. Then why are you here? His lips curved into the smallest smile. Because apparently I'm a masochist. Have coffee with me. I don't think that's a good idea. Probably not. He pulled out a business card, elegant, understated, just a phone number embossed in silver. But when you change your mind, call me. He left before I could respond, disappearing into the Sunday morning crowd like smoke. I stood there holding his card, knowing I should throw it away. I didn't. I lasted 5 days before I called him. 5 days of trying to focus on lesson plans and choir practice while his voice echoed in my head. Your hope, and hope is the most dangerous thing in my world. He answered on the first ring. Lily. How did you know it was me? I've been waiting. There was relief in his voice, warm and genuine. Where can I meet you? We settled on a small cafe 3 neighborhoods away from my church, neutral territory. I got there first, ordered chamomile tea, and tried to calm my nerves. When Dante walked in, the entire atmosphere shifted. People looked up, then quickly looked away. He commanded space without trying, moving through the world like he owned it. Because maybe he did. Thank you for coming, he said, sliding into the seat across from me. He'd foregone the suit for dark jeans and a black sweater, but somehow he looked even more dangerous this way. I almost didn't. What changed your mind? I wrapped my hands around my warm mug. Curiosity. And maybe I heard something in your voice that Thursday. In that room full of hard men and harder choices, you asked me to sing. Not threatened, not forced. Asked. I wanted to hear what made you walk into a place like that looking so fearless. I wasn't fearless. I was lost. Same thing, sometimes. He ordered an espresso from the hovering waitress, who practically tripped over herself to serve him. When she left, he turned those intense eyes back to me. Tell me about yourself. The real things, not the surface. So I did. I told him about growing up in foster care, bouncing between homes until I aged out at 18. About finding solace in church not because I was particularly religious, but because the music made me feel less alone. About teaching piano to kids who reminded me of my younger self, lost, looking for something to hold on to. Music saved me, I said simply. It gave me purpose when I had none. What about you? What's your story? His jaw tightened. You don't want to know my story, Lily. I asked, didn't I? He studied me for a long moment, then sighed. I inherited my father's business when I was 23. He built an empire on other people's suffering, and I've spent the last 15 years maintaining it. I'm not a good man. I've done things. He stopped, shook his head. Things that would make you walk out of this cafe and never look back. Try me. Why? The question came out raw. Why aren't you afraid of me? I considered this carefully. Because when you asked me to sing, you didn't do it to humiliate me or assert power. You did it because you wanted to hear me. That's not the action of a monster, that's the action of someone starving for something beautiful. His hand reached across the table, stopping just short of mine. You see too much. And you hide too much. I closed the distance, letting my fingers brush his. The contact sent electricity up my arm. But I see you anyway, Dante. We sat like that for a moment, fingers barely touching, the cafe noise fading to nothing. This can't work, he said finally. You know that, right? My world and yours, they're incompatible. I know. I'll ruin you. Maybe. I met his gaze steadily. Or maybe you'll surprise yourself. He turned his hand over, properly taking mine now. His thumb traced circles on my palm. I want to try. God help me, I want to try. Then let's try. The next 3 months were the strangest of my life. By day, I taught 8-year-olds how to find middle C and led the church choir through Easter hymns. By night, I entered Dante's world, expensive restaurants where everyone knew his name and no one asked questions, late-night drives through the city while he took business calls in rapid Italian, quiet moments in his penthouse where he'd ask me to sing just for him. He never told me details about his work, and I never asked. We existed in this bubble where his darkness and my light somehow mixed into something grey and beautiful. Sing the one about redemption, he'd say, lying on his couch with his head in my lap while I ran my fingers through his hair. Which one? Half the hymns are about redemption. Your favorite? So I'd sing Amazing Grace or How Great Thou Art, and I'd watch his face soften, watch years of violence and guilt temporarily lift from his shoulders. In those moments, I truly believed I could save him. I should have known better. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday night. I was waiting in his penthouse, practicing a new piece on his ridiculously expensive grand piano, when his phone rang. The conversation was entirely in Italian, but I caught enough to understand. Someone had betrayed him. Someone would pay. When he hung up, his face was a mask I'd never seen before. Cold. Lethal. Dante. I approached him carefully. What happened? Nothing you need to worry about. He was already grabbing his jacket, his gun, God, his gun, which I'd been pretending didn't exist. I need to handle something. Let me come with you. Absolutely not. His tone left no room for argument. Stay here. Lock the door. I'll be back by morning. But he wasn't. I waited all night, dozed on his couch, and woke to find him still gone. His phone went straight to voicemail. By noon, I was frantic. That's when Father Michael called. Lily, where are you? You missed morning practice and your afternoon lessons. I looked around Dante's penthouse, all glass and steel and money. I had a personal matter. Are you safe? His voice dropped. There's been talk. People have seen you with someone. A man with a dangerous reputation. My stomach dropped. Father, I'm not judging you, child. But I am worried. Be careful who you give your heart to. Some men are too broken to save. After we hung up, I stood at Dante's floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city, and let myself acknowledge the truth. I was in love with a man who might be killing someone right now. The door opened behind me. Lily. Dante's voice was rough, exhausted. You waited. I turned to find him disheveled, a bruise forming on his jaw, blood on his white shirt. Not his blood, I realized with a sick feeling. Are you hurt? I crossed to him, reaching for his face. He caught my hand, held it against his cheek. Why are you still here? Where else would I be? Running. His eyes searched mine, desperate and haunted. You should be running from me, Lily. You should be terrified. I am terrified, I admitted. But not of you. I'm terrified of losing you. He pulled me against him then, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. You deserve better than this. Better than me. Don't I get to decide what I deserve? Not when it comes to this. He pulled back, framing my face with his hands. My life is violence, Lily. It's blood and money and choices that damn my soul a little more each day. You're light and music and everything good in this world. I won't let you become collateral damage. So what are you saying? His jaw clenched. I'm saying this was a mistake. We were a mistake. The words hit like a physical blow. You don't mean that. I do. But his hands were still on my face, still holding me like I was precious. You need to go back to your church, your students, your normal life. Forget about me. And you? I asked through tears. Do you get to forget about me? No. His voice broke. I'll never forget you. Every time I hear music, I'll hear your voice. But at least you'll be safe. He kissed me then, desperate, claiming, goodbye. I kissed him back with everything I had, trying to pour 3 months of love into one moment. When we broke apart, I grabbed my coat with shaking hands. Lily. He said my name like a prayer. If things were different. But they are not. I wiped my eyes. Goodbye, Dante. I walked out of his penthouse, down the elevator, out onto the street where my world and his could never meet. And I didn't look back. 6 weeks passed like 6 years. I threw myself into teaching, into choir practice, into anything that would keep my mind off Dante Morelli and his winter eyes. My students noticed I was distracted. Father Michael noticed I stopped smiling. My best friend Rachel noticed I'd lost weight. Whoever he was, she said over coffee one Saturday, he's not worth destroying yourself over. I'm not destroying myself. I'm just adjusting. To what? A life without someone who clearly hurt you. He didn't hurt me. I stirred my tea mechanically. He protected me. There's a difference. Is there? She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Lily, you're the strongest person I know. You've survived things that would break most people. But I've never seen you this lost. If you love him, love doesn't fix everything. No, she agreed. But it's a pretty good starting point. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my tiny apartment, finally sitting at my keyboard around 2 a.m. My fingers found the keys automatically, playing the melody Dante loved most, Amazing Grace. Halfway through, I started crying. I was so lost in the music, in my grief, that I didn't hear the knock at first. When it came again, louder, I froze. It was 2 a.m. No one should be at my door. Lily. His voice came through the wood. Please. I need to see you. I opened the door to find Dante Morelli looking worse than I felt. Dark circles under his eyes, days of stubble on his jaw, suit wrinkled. He looked human. Breakable. What are you doing here? I whispered. I tried. He ran a hand through his hair. God, I tried to stay away. I told myself it was for your own good, that you needed to forget me. But Lily, I can't breathe without you. These 6 weeks have been hell. I walk through my days like a ghost, and nothing means anything without you there. Dante. I know I have no right to be here. I know I should let you move on. But I'm selfish, and I'm weak, and I love you too much to pretend I'm doing this for you. I'm here because I need you. Because you're the only thing in my life that makes sense. My heart hammered. You love me? Desperately. Completely. In ways that terrify me. He took a step closer. I don't deserve you. I'll probably ruin you. But if you'll have me, if you'll let me try to be better, I swear I'll spend every day proving I can be worthy of you. I wanted to say yes. Every fiber of my being wanted to throw myself into his arms and say yes. But, your world hasn't changed, I said carefully. You're still doing the things you do. Still making those choices. No. He shook his head. That's what I came to tell you. I'm out, Lily. I've spent the last 6 weeks dismantling everything my father built. Selling off the legitimate businesses, shutting down the rest. It's cost me almost everything. Money, power, the respect of everyone in my organization. But I don't care. None of it matters without you. You did that for me. I did it for us. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. I did it because you made me believe I could be more than what my father made me. You made me want to be the man you see when you look at me. Tears spilled down my cheeks. It won't be easy. People will come after you for leaving. I know. You might lose everything. I already have everything I need, if you'll say yes. I took his face in my hands, this dangerous, broken, beautiful man who'd walked away from hell for a chance at heaven. Then yes, I whispered. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He kissed me like I was oxygen, like I was salvation, like I was home. And maybe I was. Maybe we both were. I was naive to think it would be simple. 2 months after Dante walked away from his empire, the consequences came calling. It was a Thursday, always a Thursday, somehow, and I was teaching a lesson to my youngest student, a 6-year-old named Emma who was determined to master Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Her mother sat in the waiting room, scrolling through her phone, when the front door burst open. 2 men I recognized from that first night barged in, faces grim. Miss Morrison. The older one, Marcus, I remembered, spoke urgently. You need to come with us. Now. Emma's mother stood up, alarm in her eyes. Excuse me, you can't just. It's okay. I plastered on a calm smile even as my heart raced. Marcus is, he's with my boyfriend. Is Dante all right? That depends on how fast you move. His expression was grave. They took him 20 minutes ago. Romano's men. They're going to kill him, Miss Morrison, unless we can offer them something they want more. The room spun. What could they possibly want from me? Not from you. You. They know how Dante feels about you. Your leverage. Emma's mother was already calling someone, probably the police. I grabbed my coat, my mind racing. Wait, you can't actually go with, she started. Call my friend Rachel, I told her, scribbling the number. Tell her what happened. And take Emma home. Tell her she played beautifully today. In the car, Marcus drove like a man possessed while his partner made rapid phone calls in Italian. Where are we going? I asked. The old warehouse district. It's where they conduct negotiations. Marcus met my eyes in the rearview mirror. Miss Morrison, Lily, what you need to understand is that Romano blames Dante for destroying a lucrative partnership. He lost millions when Dante dismantled the organization. He wants blood. So why take me to him? Won't that just give him what he wants? No, the other man said. He wants Dante broken before he kills him. But if you walk in there of your own free will, if you offer yourself as collateral for Dante's life, Romano might respect that. His old school. He values courage. Might. I repeated. It's the best chance we have. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to a warehouse that looked abandoned. Inside, I could hear shouting. Stay behind us until I say otherwise, Marcus instructed. We entered to chaos. Dante was on his knees, hands bound, blood running from a cut above his eye. 5 men surrounded him, and standing front and center was an older man with silver hair and cold calculation in his eyes. Romano. Marcus. Romano turned, unsurprised. Did you bring my message? I brought something better. Marcus stepped aside, revealing me. Dante's eyes went wide with horror. No. No, get her out of here. Marcus, you son of a... Mr. Romano. I stepped forward before Dante could finish, trying to project confidence I didn't feel. I understand you have a grievance with Dante. But whatever he owes you, I'd like to settle the debt. Romano studied me with interest. And you are? Lily Morrison. I'm the reason he left your organization. Lily, stop talking, Dante growled. You don't know what you're. The choir girl. Romano smiled, and it wasn't pleasant. Yes, I've heard about you. The voice that made Dante Morelli believe in redemption. He circled me slowly. Tell me, Miss Morrison, do you have any idea how much money your boyfriend cost me? No, sir. But I know he did it because I made him want to be better. And if that's a crime, then I'm guilty too. Lily, please, Dante's voice cracked. Please just go. I ignored him, keeping my eyes on Romano. What do you want? Really? Because killing Dante won't get your money back. It won't rebuild what he dismantled. It'll just make you a murderer. I'm already a murderer, girl. Then what's one more? I took a breath. But let me offer you an alternative. Let him go, and I'll sing for you. The room went silent. You'll what? Romano asked. I'll sing. Right here, right now. And then you'll let us both walk away. My voice steadied. You're a businessman, Mr. Romano. This is a business dispute. Killing Dante won't bring you profit, but letting him go might bring you something more valuable, a reputation for mercy. People will talk about the day you spared Dante Morelli because a girl sang for his life. They'll remember that you valued art over vengeance. Romano stared at me for a long moment, then threw his head back and laughed. You have steel in you, choir girl. Very well. Sing. And it better be the best thing I've ever heard, or you'll both die here. My legs shook, but I planted my feet and closed my eyes. I sang Ave Maria, the same piece I'd sung the first time Dante and I met. My voice filled that warehouse, turning it sacred. I sang for Dante's life, for our future, for everything we'd dared to dream about. When I finished, silence reigned. Then Romano began to clap. Slowly, his men joined in. That, Romano said, was magnificent. You were right, Morelli. She is extraordinary. He nodded to his men. Cut him loose. As they freed Dante's hands, Romano stepped close to me. You have courage, Miss Morrison. Dante is lucky to have you. But know this, he can never return to this life. If I see him again in my territory, conducting any business, your song won't save him. Understood? Understood, I whispered. Dante was on his feet, pulling me to him. You shouldn't have come. You could have been killed. So could you. I touched his face gently. We're even. Marcus drove us back to Dante's penthouse in silence. Once inside, Dante pulled me into his arms and held on like I might disappear. You sang for my life, he said against my hair. You walked away from everything for mine first. He pulled back, looking at me with wonder and love and residual fear. I don't deserve you. Probably not. I smiled through my tears. But you're stuck with me anyway. That's how love works. Is this really love? This terrifying, all-consuming thing? Yeah. I kissed him softly. This is love. 6 months later, I stood in front of a different kind of audience. The community center was packed with people, former members of Dante's organization who'd also walked away, families from my church, my music students and their parents, and even Marcus, who'd become something like a friend. Thank you all for coming, I said into the microphone, trying to calm my nerves. 3 months ago, Dante and I had this crazy idea. What if we created a place where music could be accessible to everyone? Where kids from any background could learn, where adults could rediscover their creativity, where art could heal the broken places in our community. From the side of the stage, Dante gave me an encouraging nod. He'd used the legitimate money he'd saved to fund this center, our center. The Morelli Foundation for Musical Arts. Today, we're officially open, I continued. And I'd like to invite our first student to the stage. Emma, where are you? My 6-year-old student bounded up the stairs, grinning. She sat at the piano and played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star perfectly, her small face scrunched in concentration. The audience erupted in applause. After the ceremony, after the tours and the refreshments and the promises to enroll, Dante and I found ourselves alone in the main studio. Evening light filtered through the windows, casting everything in gold. We did it, I said, still amazed. We actually did it. You did it. He pulled me close. I just provided the funding. This vision, this dream, it's all you, Lily. It's us. I corrected. Everything good in my life is us. He kissed me softly, reverently. Marry me. I pulled back, searching his face. What? Marry me, he repeated, producing a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a simple silver band with a single diamond, elegant, understated, perfect. I know it's fast. I know we've been through hell to get here. But Lily, I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You saved me. You made me believe I could be better. Let me spend the rest of my life proving you were right. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Yes. God, yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger, and I tackled him with a kiss that said everything words couldn't. Later, lying together on the studio floor with my head on his chest, I felt him start to laugh. What's so funny? I asked. I'm just thinking about that first day. You walked through the wrong door, terrified and clutching your sheet music, and I was so irritated at the interruption. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining. Best wrong door I ever encountered. I thought I was going to die, I admitted. I thought you were the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. He lifted my hand, kissed my ring. And then you sang, and I knew I was completely screwed. In the best possible way. Do you miss it? I had to ask. The power, the respect, the life you had before. He considered this seriously. Sometimes I missed the certainty. Everything was clear-cut before, every decision, every consequence. But this? He gestured to the studio, to us. This is better. This is real. I'd choose this chaos, this beautiful, terrifying uncertainty with you over that old life every single time. Even when former associates threaten us. Even then. Because I know you'll just sing them into submission. I laughed, smacking his chest lightly. That was one time. Once was enough. You terrified Romano more than any gun ever could. We lay there in comfortable silence, watching the light fade. Lily? Dante said softly. Him? Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me. For seeing something in me worth saving. For loving me when I didn't know how to love myself. His voice grew thick. You changed my life. I propped myself up on my elbow, looking down at him. You changed mine too. Before you, I was just existing, teaching and singing but never really living. You made me brave. You made me believe in the kind of love that transforms people. The kind that's terrifying. The best kind. I kissed him again, soft and sweet. The kind that makes you sing at 2 a.m. and storm warehouses and build community centers. The kind that makes you believe in redemption, he added. Even for those who think they are beyond it. 1 year later. The church was packed for our wedding, an eclectic mix of my choir friends and Dante's former associates who'd also chosen legitimate paths. Father Michael officiated, looking profoundly pleased with himself. When Lily first told me about Dante, he said with a twinkle in his eye, I was concerned. But watching them together has taught me something about grace. It's not just given, it's earned through daily choices, through fighting for love even when it's hard, through believing in redemption even when the world says it's impossible. Standing at the altar in my simple white dress, holding Dante's hands while he looked at me like I hung the moon, I'd never felt more certain of anything. I didn't believe in anything until I heard you sing, Dante said during his vows, his voice carrying through the church. You gave me faith, not in God necessarily, though maybe that too, but in goodness, in second chances, in the possibility that even the darkest soul can find light. I promise to spend every day of my life being worthy of the gift you've given me. I promise to protect your light, to cherish your music, to build a life with you that honors everything you've made me want to be. I was crying before he finished. I walked through the wrong door, I said through happy tears, and found exactly the right person. You've taught me that love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone worth fighting for. You're worth every battle, every risk, every moment of uncertainty. I promise to stand beside you, to sing you home when you're lost, to believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. I promise to choose us every single day, for the rest of our lives. When Father Michael pronounced us married and Dante kissed me, the church erupted in applause. Rachel was sobbing in the front row. Marcus, tough as nails Marcus, was wiping his eyes. At the reception, held in our community center surrounded by instruments and art, Emma played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for the first dance. She's gotten better, Dante murmured as we swayed together. She practices every day. Reminds me of someone else I know, someone who's been practicing at being human. He laughed, the sound still surprising and wonderful. Is it working? You're getting there. I rested my head on his shoulder. We both are. And we were. Every day, we chose each other. Every day, we built something beautiful from the ashes of what we'd left behind. The Morelli Foundation thrived, expanding to 3 locations. Students from across the city came to learn music, many of them from the same broken backgrounds Dante and I shared. We weren't perfect. We fought sometimes, about money, about boundaries, about how much contact with his old world was too much. But we always found our way back to each other, usually through music and stubborn determination. 5 years later, I stood on a stage receiving a community service award, 7 months pregnant with our daughter. Dante sat in the front row, looking at me with the same awe he'd shown that first day. The Morelli Foundation has changed thousands of lives, the presenter was saying, but perhaps none more than its founders. Lily and Dante Morelli represent the transformative power of art, love, and second chances. As I accepted the award, I caught sight of Emma in the audience, now 11, already teaching younger students, still the girl who'd witnessed the day everything changed. She gave me a thumbs up. "Thank you," I said into the microphone. "But I can't take credit for any of this. Everything good in my life started the day I walked through the wrong door and met someone who didn't believe in anything. Together, we learned to believe, in love, in change, in the power of choosing hope even when darkness seems easier." I placed my hand on my growing belly. Our daughter will grow up in a world where she knows her father as a man who chose to be better, not the man he was forced to become. She'll know that transformation is possible, that love is worth fighting for, and that sometimes the wrong door leads you exactly where you need to be. The applause was thunderous, but I only heard my husband's voice as he stood, tears streaming down his face, mouthing the words, "I love you." Later that night, back in our home, a renovated brownstone filled with music and laughter and photographs of our journey, Dante and I sat on the balcony watching the city lights. "Do you ever think about that day?" I asked, his hand resting on my belly where our daughter kicked. "The warehouse, Romano, all of it." "Every day," he admitted. "Not with fear anymore, though. With gratitude. That was the day I truly understood what you'd given up to love me, your safety, your peace of mind, everything. You could have run, but you sang instead. It was the only weapon I had. It was the only weapon you needed." He kissed my temple. "You know what our daughter's middle name should be?" "What?" "Grace. Because that's what you showed me, and that's what saved us both." I turned to look at him, this man who'd traveled so far from that cold room full of violence and money. His eyes weren't winter anymore. They were warm, alive, full of love and purpose. "Sophia Grace Morelli," I tested the name. "I like it." "Sophia means wisdom," he explained. "Seemed appropriate, given her mother. And given that her father finally learned to make wise choices." He laughed, pulling me closer. "Took me long enough." From inside, we could hear the piano. Dante had started learning to play, said he wanted to understand the language I spoke fluently. He was still clumsy, still hit wrong notes, but every day he practiced. Every day, he tried. That's what our life had become, a daily practice of choosing each other, of choosing better, of creating something beautiful from the broken pieces we'd both carried. "Sing something," he requested quietly. "For her. So she knows your voice." So I sang softly, a lullaby I'd been composing, about a girl who got lost and a man who was found, about how love could redeem the irredeemable and hope could transform the hopeless. I sang about wrong doors and right choices, about warehouses and churches, about the moment everything changed. I sang our story. And as Dante held me, our daughter moving beneath his hand, I knew with absolute certainty, I would walk through that wrong door 1,000 times over if it meant finding him on the other side. Because he didn't believe in anything until he heard me sing. But I didn't believe in miracles until I watched him change. And together, we created something neither of us could have built alone, a life filled with music, love, and the daily miracle of choosing each other. Every single day. Forever. Sometimes the wrong door is exactly the right one. Sometimes the most unlikely people find the most extraordinary love. And sometimes, when you sing your truth, the whole world changes, especially for the one person who needs to hear it most.